Hello, Dungeons & Dragons fans. I am author T.H. Leatherman.
And I'm Ashton.
And today we're going to discuss how to build a melee ranger. Now, you guys may remember that around last year at this time, I built a sniper ranger. This builds on that concept, but we're going to build something that's going to do a lot more close-in damage than what the sniper ranger, which is designed to do the far away damage, does.
So to do ranger as DPS, you need to do dual wielding, of course, and then we are going to make a Beastmaster ranger.
Rangers get a lot of advantages that are going to make this particular character very deadly. To keep things simple and easy to follow, we use the standard array to put this ranger together. That means we use stats 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, and 8, and arrange them in our stat priority. In this case, we put our highest stat in dexterity because we want this particular ranger to be very good with finesse weapons. The next stat we chose was constitution, so that's going to be where our 14 goes. We want this ranger to have a lot of hit points so that they are more survivable. Our third stat priority is wisdom, because wisdom is useful for perception as well as a lot of the spells that the ranger is going to be casting. The next stats that we did was strength, intelligence, and the lowest stat was charisma. Charisma, nothing this particular character is put together with will require charisma, so that's going to be our dump stat. So what race should we make this ranger? Now, there are a lot of good races that you could choose to build a ranger around. One of the races that immediately pops to mind for most people is human variant. The nice thing about the human variant is that we would immediately get a feat, which for this particular character we're going to need that dual wield feat. But a lot of people would choose to take that with the level 4 ability improvement. So we will go ahead and do that. The human variant gets 2 ability score increases. We're going to put that into dexterity and constitution because we want this particular ranger to be very good at close-in combat.
Two of the races we are going to choose are both elf types. One is the wood elf. They get a +2 in dex and then a +1 in wisdom. We need the +2 in dex again to deal more damage, and then wisdom for our spellcasting modifier. And they also walk a little faster, which is sometimes nice for a ranger. Our second elf that we're going to choose is Eladrin, because they get a +2 to dex and then a +1 to intelligence. Again, why we have dex is to be more damaging. And they get the feat Phase Step, which is just Misty Step that you can use as a bonus action once a day to help you get out of combat.
We're going to build him around a halfling. Now, why did we choose a halfling? Well, of course, because of the +2 dex, because again, we wanted the dexterity for this ranger to do a lot more damage, and the halfling stouts get a +1 in constitution. Also, there are some other advantages that we'll go into later. So since we're making a Beastmaster Ranger, at level 3 they're going to be getting their beast. And so what kind of beast would be appropriate for a Beastmaster Ranger that is geared around doing as much damage as possible? First thing that's actually a pretty good choice is a flying snake. Now, the flying snake gets a few little advantages. It can do what's known as a flyby, so it goes in, bites, and then retreats before it can be hit. The nice thing about the flying snake in that doing this, it also gets a chance to poison its opponent, and that poison does not get a constitution save. It's just extra damage. Along the same lines, we have the giant poisonous snake. Now, the giant poisonous snake is a bit larger, a bit tougher than the flying snake, but it also does damage plus poison. But in this case, the opponent does get a constitution save for half damage.
So our other 2 beasts that you'd want to choose is a panther. Panthers are nice because they'll rush in and knock whatever you're fighting prone, which will cause everyone to have advantage on hitting it, and it will need to spend its turn getting up. It also has keen smell.
Yes.
Yes, Keen Smell, and Keen Smell just allows it to have proficiency in perception for smelling things. What we're going to use, which is better than this, is a wolf. And a wolf has Keen Smell and Keen Scent, so it has proficiency in perception for smelling things and hearing things. And it will be able to at least try to knock things prone every turn with a DC 11, if it hits.
Right. The panther has to rush in for at least 10 feet before it can attempt to knock something prone, but it does get 2 attacks, a bite and a claw. The wolf gets to try to knock things prone every round. Another thing that you should be discussing with your Dungeon Master as a Beastmaster Ranger is that they should be treating your beast as a PC. What that means is that the Dungeon Master should treat the beast as a player character for when its hit points reach 0. It should get death saves so that the Beastmaster doesn't have to go find another beast every time that the beast gets to 0 hit points. There are several feats that are very useful for building a Beastmaster Ranger. The most important and the one that we're absolutely going to take is Dual Wield. Normal 2-weapon fighting, you do not get to use your ability score improvement for the second attack. Dual wielding allows us to get that ability score improvement on both attacks. It also allows us to use one attack as defense to give us a +1 to AC. Additionally, by dual wielding, it allows our ranger to be able to use non-light weapons to attack with. So normally we would take scimitars, which would do a die 6. Since we're dual wielding, we'll be able to use rapiers, which will give us a die 8 for damage. Another feat that you might consider taking later on, or if you use the human variant, is medium armor. This will give us a nice +1 to our AC and allow us to be more survivable in combat.
Something that you can think about if you're using a smaller race, like a Halfling, is mounted combat. This one is nice because you're able to ride your beast into combat, and if what you're attacking is smaller than your beast, then you can have advantage on hitting it. And since we're also using a wolf, since you're by your wolf while you're riding it, your wolf always has advantage on hitting. So when making a ranger, you kind of want to have more AC, so when you're up close and personal, like we are doing here, you are more survivable. So when taking armor, you want to take scale mail because it's 14 plus your dex at a maximum of +2. So we're going to have a 16 AC.
We want our ranger to be survivable. That's why we took Constitution as our second highest ability. This will give us a +2 to all of our die rolls. So our 5th level ranger is going to have 44 hit points.
As a ranger, and since we have the dual wielding feat, we get a rapier. And a rapier is 1d8 plus your dex bonus. So we have 1d8 plus 3 damage. And if we hit all 3 times at level 5, that's 3d8 plus 9 damage. That's a lot of damage, even without Hunter's Mark and your beast. With Hunter's Mark, for each time you hit, you get another 1d6 additional damage, which is really nice. So adding on your beast, that will be 2d4 plus 2 plus your proficiency bonus.
So at level 5, that's going to be another +3. So it's 2d4 plus 5 every time your beast attacks.
Since we are using a wolf, whenever the wolf attacks, the creature, when it hits a creature, the creature that got hit has to make a DC 11 strength saving throw. If it does not make that saving throw, it gets knocked prone and will need to spend its turn getting up.
So 3 things happen when a creature is knocked prone. 1, they have to spend a round getting up. 2, they have disadvantage on any attacks they make against you or your party or even your creature. 3, you get advantage and your party gets advantage on attacking that prone creature. Another good thing about having you and your creature attacking the same opponent is that you can do flanking. In order to do flanking, you have to have an opponent on 2 opposite sides of a creature. If your DM allows it, you and everyone who's attacking that creature gets advantage on their attacks for that creature.
So when making a D&D character, you always get a background. The background we're choosing today is Outlander, because it will give you proficiency in athletics and survival. And then for a ranger, we chose insight, nature, and perception, because all things are needed to make our Beastmaster just a little bit better, not in fighting, but outside of combat. Because we're a halfling, we start with the feat lucky, which is amazing because every time you roll a 1, you can re-roll it. Sadly, you have to take the second roll.
Also, because we're a halfling, we have the ability of nimbleness. Now, nimbleness allows us to move through anyone who's in the front line of the party, so we can attack through our opponents. We don't have to take up an extra space by moving around them or spend extra time getting around those opponents. Also, we're kind of short, which means that if there are spellcasters behind us, they can cast spells over us, and we're not getting in their way. Also, because we're short, we have the ability, if the DM allows it, to ride our beast into combat. Woohoo! Riding wolves!
Another great thing about rangers is they get spells, mostly druidic. So we took 2 first-level spells. The first one we took is Hunter's Mark, because you just want to be dealing extra damage. And then the second one we took is Speak with Animals. This is so you could speak with your companion, or when you're in the wilderness and need to figure things out, speak with those animals.
2 other spells that we took were Silence, because spellcasters can be kind of nasty, and it's good to be able to take their ability to cast away from them. Yay! We also took Lesser Restoration, because it's good for us to be able to cure paralyzations and poisons and so forth, just in case that happens to either ourselves or the party members or our beast. As an alternative, you can take Cure Wounds as one of your first level spells. This will allow you to cure your beast, because he's kind of fragile. He only gets a few hit points. At 5th level, he has 20 hit points. And you can do that for yourself or your party members if they get into a bind.
So after adding all this stuff together of all your damage, and if you hit with everything, your minimal amount of damage is 22 damage, which is still a ton of damage. And then your max damage is 64. That will kill or half kill nearly anything in your way.
We've done a number of things here to give your Halfling Ranger advantage. By knocking things prone with his wolf or by flanking. There's a decent chance that you will be able to get advantage on every attack and therefore hit with your 3 attacks plus your beast's 1 attack. Every turn. So in summary, this is a DPS Ranger. Our stat priority is Dexterity, Constitution, followed by Wisdom. We chose our race as a Stout Halfling for the advantages that gives us. We are using a wolf pet with a dual wielding to get us up to 4 attacks per round. You're trying to get advantage as much as possible by using your wolf to knock your creatures prone, or using flanking maneuvers to also give you advantage on rolls.
A key spell that you will always need playing a ranger is Hunter's Mark to do as much damage as possible.
I'm author T.H. Leatherman.
And I'm Ashton.
And until next time, have fun playing Dungeons & Dragons.
Woohoo!